Morning.
How are you?
All right, and yourself?
Sleepy.
Uh-oh.
You know the time change here. So
Yes.
we in the middle of a time change. But I'm good. I'm good. How was your week?
It was good. How about yours?
It was great. Very busy, all over the place. The usual, the norm. You know how it goes down. You know how
Right.
it goes down. Good morning, Carolyn. Good morning. Good morning. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, let's get this party started. I was a bad host. Yes, I will slap my hand. Bad host, bad host. When I tell you I'm not plugged up to anything, I still have some power. So
Uh-oh.
I'm downstairs. You know, we at the embassy. I'm downstairs. There are no plugs anywhere. It's not set up like the other place was. So I'm like, Lord, we just gonna keep praying and we keep power.
Uh-oh.
I think we should be fine through this. It may be the meeting after the meeting where I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but all of the things. And I just went and got all of the stuff out of the trunk probably about an hour ago.
Oh,
I know. Bad
well,
host.
thank goodness you're an early bird.
Yes. So I was like, okay, let's pull all of this out. Oh, I'm sorry. See, don't complain. She said, I'm sleepy too. It's 6 a.m. See, I can't even complain. I forgot it's 6 o'clock in the morning where she is. And she is here faithfully every Saturday.
Gratefully.
Bless your
Yeah.
whole heart. I appreciate it though. All right, all right. So let's get started. Welcome to our Saturday morning tea where we discuss health information, news, education, certification tips, how the early bird gets the worm, being sleepy but still being present, and entrepreneurship and anything around healthcare revenue cycle. As you come in, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. And let's get this party started. I'm Clarice Warner. I'm the Grow with the Pearls, the Senior Education Director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And PRN is a healthcare compliance consultancy located in Cincinnati, Ohio, that specializes in revenue cycle and regulatory compliance in education. Now, let me ask you, do you know what it takes to be a certified marketable medical coder? Do you? Well, before I introduce my co-host, let me share with you information on a free, yes, free 99 email course on the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Are you interested in medical coding but not sure where to start and scared of wasting time and resources? Let me help you with the right steps to become a certified marketable medical coder. Learn more at bit.ly/5stepscoder. All right, all right. So if you are interested in getting more information about the 5 steps to become a certified marketable medical coder, check the video description for the link. All right, all right. So joining me today is my partner in success. Yes, my co-host. Okay, why is my finger stuck in my lock? My co-host, Mr. Jesse, the registered trademark. Put some respect on his name, the coding nurse. Sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been in healthcare. I've been a nurse for a long time. In 2014, I left the bedside and switched into medical coding. In 2020, during the pandemic, I created a company, the Coding Nurse LLC, where I help nurses and other people in healthcare with a clinical background transition into the wonderful world of HIM.
Mm-hmm. And how is that going?
So far, so good.
Yes, yes. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm doing two different things at one time. I'm trying to put it in my egg white omelet order. Okay, before we jump in, let me remind you that you can join in and add to the conversation. Remember, don't be shy. Your opinion matters and is welcomed here. So, friends, please use the chat to chat away and provide your opinions. If you have a question, please type Q first so we know it is a question for us and we don't miss it. All right, for those who are just watching or who just joining us or watching the replay, today we are talking virtual nursing, reshaping healthcare and HIM careers. As soon as I saw this article, I thought about you. And I've been chuckling ever since. But first, let's get into our church announcements, shall we? Shall we? Yes. Yes. Look at the fan. Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. Yes. Yes. Okay. So my church announcements for today. Sir, the mission statement came to the delegation. Let me just share that. So 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 we had there were two meetings. Actually, both meetings happened on the same day. They just happened at different times. The first was our regular House of Delegates meeting. We have asked for them to provide information so we can have conversations with our component associations and members, just everybody, to get them up to speed on what it is that we will be voting on in October. And so we have asked the board and the House to indulge us and have several meetings, because everybody can't get on the meetings at all times. So have several meetings in preparation for the actual House, and then allow us to discuss amongst ourselves. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Da 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 da. Well, we had that first meeting. And for the most part, it went smoothly. I think, let me walk this back. So we also have a governance task force, and the governance task force actually takes a look at a firsthand look at what is being presented before the delegates, and we're there to make sure all delegates' questions are asked. And most of the things that we're looking at this year, the majority of the things that we're looking at this year are actually rollover from last year because, and rightfully so, folks felt that y'all not prepared. Y'all didn't have enough information. The delegates didn't feel like we could even vote on half of the stuff because they didn't have enough information. And so a lot of the things they sent back. So they didn't say no. Well, I take that back. A couple things they voted no. And a couple things they sent back. Like, y'all need to revamp this and retool this and look at this again. And so that's what we are charged in the task force to do. So I think they have been gathering information, massaging the information, and presenting the information. So they had a couple of people from the task force actually present the information to the delegates. And when I tell you, it was all nice and friendly. It was a great meeting though, but the tone quickly shifted to like, what? The I think one of the issues that AHIMA is having in their messaging, as it relates to at least these issues, is they are trying to get us to align to some things that others are doing. So if it's like that, well, they doing it, we should do it too, or you should do it too. And we all know, if Timmy jump off the bridge, do we all jump off the bridge too? No, and so I think folks are feeling a lot of that, like, well, who are these people? And somebody even said, well, in your slide it says many so and so and so. She was like, this may be a rhetorical question, but who is many? And I was hollering. When I tell you, I was over here hollering. So it's some of that. And so again, I think there needs to be, when I say, and they've asked for them to be transparent. When I say there needs to be a full on, just call it like it is, transparency on some of these things that needs to happen. So one of the issues that they are bringing back, because I think it didn't pass, was combining the finance committee with their audit committee. And the one thing that they did, they had like these attorneys who represent other organizations. So of course, with the strength of this mission statement, everybody's asking, well, is it a member directed organization? You telling me about this nonprofit that you have that is a client of yours, but is it a member driven organization? So they not like us. So that's primarily the theme around that. They also have had them honestly say, yeah, we have these we have these clients, but the majority still have them separate, and they want to, AHIMA is proposing to combine them, and folks, it still feels like folks is not feeling that. So if that's something that you have a thought on, make sure you reach out to your delegates or let them know, how you're feeling so that they can vote appropriately, because it doesn't feel like it's something that, at least from my temperature gauge, that folks may be feeling. The other thing is extending the term for board of directors until a 2-year or 2-session 3-year term. So they would serve for like 3 years. Like they'll come in, they'll serve for 3, and then they'll be up to serve for another term after that. And that was the one that was asked to go back and get more information, because the way they had it structured previously, the board would pretty much decide who would be allowed to come back for a second term. And everybody was like, absolutely not. You're not taking that from the members. So I think they did a good job in revamping this new proposed change. It sounds like it may be okay with the people. I still think they should have took the time to actually spell out what the they're going to be vetted through the nominating committee like any other, so that is good. But I think one of the asks was, can we make sure what is the tool that you'll be evaluating on them on, because you may not get asked to come back and do a second term. Originally they wanted the board to kind of vet that out, but no one could tell anybody what tool they were using, or what was the analysis to decide or determine whether or not somebody was doing a good job and should be asked to come back. So I think that one is still out. But anyway, all that to say, and to give some background, thank you, appreciate you. all that to say is that when the mission statement came out, I think everybody ready to just jump on board with that. Well, when they showed the mission statement added to the actual bylaws document, I think they tried, Lightweight tried to be funny. Somebody tried to be funny. So there's some grammatical things in there, and they were like, well, can you fix, because maybe it should say da 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 da, and they were like, well, no, that's how we received it, so that's how we're presenting it. And I was like, uh-oh. Somebody in their feelings already at the beginning. so so yeah, all that information is out. Again, we talked about, if you want more information about the mission statement, check out our show last week where we broke down what that mission statement is. But know that the information is out there. We did see it at the delegates. We will vote on it in October. Again, if you have any questions, or if you have an opinion one way or the other, reach out to your delegates and let them know so they can be informed with your information. Mr. Jesse, did you want to add anything or comment? Or I see some comments. Let me check them out and see what's going on.
So I'm going to have to do some more research, because what I'm trying to understand is, going back to what you said earlier, like, who are these clients that AHIMA is talking about?
No, so the AHIMA had attorneys come in to say, oh, we have clients that have combined their finance and audit committee. And so that was the slant that they were trying to say when they did their research on organizations that combine versus organizations that don't. And both of the attorneys that were there overwhelmingly said the majority of their clients still have a separate finance and audit committee. But they do have some who combine. And then, they gave a lot of the reasons why, they have combined, da 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 da. But to me, the first thing I heard was, but the majority don't.
And I just don't think it's a good thing. You have to separate them, because we all know that there is a such thing called collusion. And we know how a lot of these organizations work. You have once the fox's garden, the hen house is over. You have to separate them.
Yes. Oh, I didn't see her thing. I'm sorry. There go our usher fingers. Good morning, Crafty Coder. Good morning, everybody. You are absolutely right. Because and everybody, that was the first thing everybody kept saying. Well, there's a conflict of interest there. There's a conflict of interest, and I can't think of the gentleman's title. I don't think he's the parliamentarian. He has some. He may be AHIMA's attorney. He may be on AHIMA's legal team or something, but he always comes back and kind of opines on, trying to make clarifications around whatever it is the questions were. And so he came back and was like, well, it's not a conflict, da 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 da. But nobody is really feeling that. Everybody still feels that it is. I think at least that was the tone that I was getting in the room. And she said that to everywhere. So that one, I don't know. I think they think. I don't know. I don't think that one is gonna go over as smoothly as they think. I don't know. But that mission statement thing, baby, that one's going down. And then there was something else that they sent, because Rose Dunn was also on, because I told you last week she's a delegate, so she was also on that delegate meeting. It was a delegate town hall for the delegates and the CA leaders, the component association leaders. And I think there's some other things coming down the pike as well. And then anytime something, because somebody can bring a new proposal on the day of the meeting, and there's some parameters around getting it approved. It's stricter to get something done on the day of than it is if you submit the stuff beforehand. But we still have 3 delegate calls as well as delegate town halls before the October meeting. So we may still be getting stuff coming down the pipe. So that was my church announcement. I just wanted to share that information with y'all.
So I actually have I had one, but I couldn't find it, and it was via the Crafty Coder, our on the street correspondent.
Mm-hmm.
She has sent out, and Lashante, if you can find it, can you send it back to me, please? There was an article you had sent out about inpatient payments for, I believe it was sepsis, and I meant to mention it last Saturday. The last time was it last Saturday? Did we meet? Or no,
Mm-hmm.
the Saturday. Okay, so I meant to mention it last week, but I couldn't find it then and forgot to ask her to find it again. But it was about overpayments by CMS for hospitals, and I believe it was around sepsis. But I want to review the article again because it was pretty good. And then also um, the meeting after the meeting, the Crafty Coder is. I would like for her to talk about another article that she had shared about injections.
Mm-hmm.
So so our on the street correspondent has been finding some really good information
Has been corresponding, right?
around payments because everybody, and so the other announcement is I just want to just encourage anybody who is listening who is in school presently for HIM or for coding. The coding guidelines are there for a reason. You cannot skirt around them. You cannot find a way to, study without knowing them. There's no way you can do coding successfully without knowing the guidelines. That is why they are there. And I'm just seeing a troubling trend because I did some tutoring this week for, someone who's attending an online program, and it's not looking good.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's really around these educational programs, but it's going to be interesting to see how the new PAHM competencies that will come out in 2026, how they are going to impact the quality of the education, at least for KHM accredited programs. That's all I can speak to around that, but how they're going to impact the quality of some of these programs, because I've been looking at some things and hearing some things, and I'm like you. I'm like, that's absolutely trash. Who did that and why?
And Maya put in the comments, and no pathophysiology, not in a boot camp.
Yeah. Yes. Well, no pathophysiology. Hell, some of them barely have AMP, anatomy and physiology. Uh, uh, some don't even really even speak in medical terminology. So how you gonna understand what it is that you're supposed to be reading from the various documents if you can't speak the language or read the language? I don't understand. Make it all make sense. Again, it could all be so simple, but everybody rather makes it hard, right? Right.
And I had a consultation. This is and from she's currently an actress slash waitress, but she wants to find something more stable.
Mhm.
So she had reached out about um, inquiring about my coding course. So I told her, I said, my course is really for people who already know anatomy, physiology, and all. So I gave her some resources. I said, well, you can learn online. Thank you. I got it, Ashante. So um, people think that there's an easy way around this. It's not.
And people think just because you are taking courses online that this is an easier way to do it. No, it's actually a little more challenging because you have to, and let me say this, especially any asynchronous courses that are completely online. You have to be responsible for making sure that you devote the appropriate amount of time to your coursework, to getting the material via lectures or whatever interactive medium that they're using. You also have to make sure that you understand. So you have to be proactive in your education in these asynchronous programs, and they provide, at least most of them that, well, I can't speak to everybody's, but some of the ones that I have encountered, they provide opportunities for you to connect to the instructor, for you to get clarification, for you to, they have, open labs or open sessions where you can, come in on the Zoom, come in on that dreaded Teams. I do not like Teams. Sorry. Come in on whatever platform to collaborate with others and the instructor to get what you got to get. I feel like if I'm paying my money to get something at the end, I'm going to do everything I need to do to make sure I get my money's worth. I'm not just going to give money away and then be in my feelings afterwards and then want to say, oh, this was horrible, da 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 da. Well, what did you do to make sure you got what you paid for? If I'm paying you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But some people don't even know what to ask for. They think that they're getting what they don't realize until afterwards. Or if they run into somebody like us who will tell them, no, that's not how it works. They don't. A lot of these people don't realize it until, because I was watching some. I was on
Well,
some
some of
platform.
them know because their grades reflect they know. Some of
But
them know.
I'm talking about like the importance of the guidelines. If your program
Oh,
doesn't tell you the importance of the guidelines, you
well,
will
if you're
never.
important, yeah, if they don't have guidelines or not even talking about the guidelines, then that's a whole deficit. But then again, we talked about this, I think, a little bit last week. There are some questions that you should be asking these programs or research that you have to do on your own before you give up your money. You don't just give your money to whomever without asking questions. This is the same. They're coming back now with buyer's remorse. You're buying something, you're buying a service. You need to make sure that you understand what it is that you're putting your money in for or whatever it is that you're buying.
But that's the whole thing behind these. That was the downfall of these diploma mills. They were selling something that wasn't true. That's what these schools are doing right now. They're selling something that's not true. And I really think the only way around it, because of course, like people need to be governed because people are just out of control. But these programs need to do like nursing programs. The reason why nursing programs are as hard as they are is because they want to filter out anybody that's going to bring down their first time pass rate. That is how you get and keep your accreditation. If your first time pass rate drops below a certain amount, your program goes on probation. And if it doesn't come up, your accreditation is stripped and you can no longer teach nursing. It needs to be that way with HIM.
Well, they do have that if they are a CHM accredited. There are opportunities for that same type of
Right?
foolishness to go down.
But I was a tutor. I was an employee at a school that had a teaching program, and that program was trash when it came.
Again, then that's where someone should reach out to those accrediting bodies. Hey, I didn't get da 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 da. They said this, that, and third. Because when they go through that accreditation, it's rigorous. That accreditation process is rigorous, where they are asking for them to show. But if you got some complaints or you got some documentation to support that what they sent the accrediting body may not necessarily be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, then they will do some additional digging. Otherwise, they're going to take what the program is sending them as, oh, okay, well, everything is going well here, whatever. So you have to say, so instead of, grumbling amongst yourselves, you need to let the folks who hold the key to these programs accountable. You got to let
But
them know.
but that's easy. But that's easy for us to say because we've been on the other side. If you are enrolling in a program and people tell you this is that, because everybody makes everything look good, but the burden has to be at the end of the day, you have to live up to your agreement. And when you do, and there needs to be somebody else other than the end consumer to hold these people accountable. And it always comes down to money. If these people were no longer allowed to take money for a program because it is not producing, it would change tomorrow. But as long as they can continue to take people's money, and some people never test. If you have 50 people in your program and only 10 people take an exam, that's a problem.
Well, your program may not be accredited, and so what test you gonna take? AAPC? You can't take a HEMA test.
You can, if AHEMA doesn't make it for coding, you don't have to go to an accredited program to take a coding test for AHEMA.
Not the coding test, but if you're taking your RHIA or RHIT,
But
yes, you do.
right, but those aren't coding. Those aren't coders per se. That's a whole separate realm. We've even talked about that. That's the RHIA and RHIT again.
But some of their coding programs are accredited, which allows them to go into your CCS, CCS-P, da 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 da. So some of those, see, CHM also accredits coding programs as well. But you have a lot of these billing and coding programs that are out here willy nilly that they just made up that people believe are the cat's meow and they sign up for them. Again, you as a consumer have to do your work. I understand that these programs need to be held accountable, but if you can't ask them the questions, well, who are you? And I think most people ask the accreditation question around whether or not they can get transfer credits over into another program if they decide to further their education. But at some point, someone needs to take a deeper dive in their program. Ask the questions specifically about the program before you give up your money, and they're not. So I feel like it's blame on both parts, if you will. We as a consumer have to be more diligent, do our due diligence in making sure that what it is that we're paying for, that we're getting. We need to ask the appropriate questions to people, and yeah, you and I know, and those of us who come on know, but then we know people who are going out there in the field as well, and we can, hey, what you getting or what you doing? Like when somebody was telling me about some program in our city that was providing some certification to some organization. I still don't know what that organization was. I was like, so have any of y'all ever seen this organization's name on any job description that y'all have? So why are you promoting this information to these people like, oh, at the end of this program, you'll be eligible to get da 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 da. Yeah, you may be eligible, but what does that certification won't mean anything in the world, because whatever that organization is, no one knows it. It may take some years or some teeth to be an organization that is on the same footing as an AAPC or an AHEMA in order for employers to be like, oh, okay, we feel comfortable that they have the required skills to do the jobs that we need these people to come in the door doing. But everybody want to promote whatever because I don't know. I don't know. But I just think, again, we have an obligation to make sure, like, I feel like we also have an obligation to make sure we get the questions answered that we need before putting down our hard-earned dollars for that. And to your point, the program should also be transparent in making sure that they provide the information to those potential students about what it is that they will receive, what they're going to get through the program, and what is required of them. Because sometimes they be like, oh, well, yeah, you can do this, and the third. Well, they don't let you know that you need to be studying and looking at stuff and all of this stuff. There's a whole time commitment that you need to put in. And if you don't have the time to do it, this may not be for you either. So I think the whole marketing of it, or the whole information about what is actually happening around these programs, around the students that are coming into these programs, because some of them are ill-equipped to even be, well, that's a whole other conversation as well. And what was my third? The programs and the consumer making sure that they ask the questions before giving up their money.
But you know,
This is my 2 cents on it.
I think that the crafty coder really, she has in the comments, asynchronous learning means that the instructor and the students in the course all engage with the course content at different times and from different locations. I think that's really the problem because you cannot learn medical coding that way. That's just, I'm going to, that is a hill I'm going to die on because I don't know
I
anybody.
disagree. I think you can if your program is structured if your program is structured right and you put into play sessions that allow them to get together. I think you can.
But that's not any asynchronous programs that I know of that have that.
There's plenty of asynchronous programs I know.
I I talk to too many people who have wasted so much money in these type of programs, and I've never found one like that because I always seem to find the people who are just effed up from the floor up
Hmm.
in a program, and it's sad. It's in my opinion, it's criminal because medical coding is extremely complex, and because I've been in it as long as I can smoke out somebody who doesn't know in 2 minutes. I just have to ask two questions.
I
And if,
agree, girl. Go ahead.
and if you don't know that, I already know what type of program you didn't attend.
That's right. She said you have to have the drive to figure out and research. You do. And to me, all that show because you have to have some critical thinking skills in as a health information professional. If you can't start out the gate doing that, I think that's part of the issue as well. Continuing education for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. But moving on
Mm.
to our topic for the day. So I think this in and of itself could be a whole other topic. Um, and I'm sure we'll spend some time talking about this at the meeting after the meeting. Did I stop the banner? Yeah. So let the tea spilling begin. So today we're going to discuss virtual nursing, reshaping healthcare and health information careers. So let's talk about why this matters and what it could mean for health information professionals. Now I know it's kind of sort of around nursing, and because bad host, I did not set up everything beforehand. You don't have the link in the description. However, I will put all of the things in the description after we finish recording today, so you can get the link. But anyway, so there was this article um by the editor G. Hatfield of Health Leaders. And she talks about you won't need as many nurses sooner than you think. Virtual nursing is not a fad. It's so transformative that we are near the first generation of nurses who may never touch the patient. And kind of to summarize the article, this talks about just virtual nursing where some of it has expanded and exploded due to COVID, where telemedicine took off. For folks were real hesitant to do anything as it relates to telemedicine, but when COVID took off, telemedicine took off as well, and then virtual nursing kind of ran alongside what was happening with the pandemic and became kind of its own little profession, if you will, by itself, and is kind of transforming how we see and receive healthcare. It says that industry experts predict that within the next 5 to 10 years, 60 to 70% of nursing positions could become virtual or have a virtual component. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. And so that's looking at a whole major shift in how nursing care is delivered. Some impact on care models and nurse patient ratios means that, and this isn't, and be clear, this isn't just about nurses like working from home. Virtual nursing is shaping the care models and nurse patient ratios. So your bedside nurses will be supported by virtual nurses who can help with documentation, patient education, if there are specific kind of research things that need to happen for patients, that virtual colleague could be there to kind of provide the information while there is still someone potentially at the bedside doing the actual care. And so this can allow an on-site nurse to focus more on the hands-on care while managing more patients safely. Benefits for nurses by, thank you, benefits for nurses, patients, and healthcare organizations. The article states it's a win-win-win situation. Nurses get more flexible work options and reduce physical strain. Patients receive more attention and faster response time. Healthcare organizations can optimize staffing, reduce turnover, and potentially lower costs. They feel like in the article, it's like hitting the healthcare trifecta. Some of the effects on, and Mr. Jesse, you can jump in at any time. Effects on staffing, scheduling, and nurse burnout. It says virtual nursing could be the antidote to many staffing headaches. It offers flexible scheduling options, potentially reducing burnout by allowing nurses to rotate between the virtual and bedside roles. So they would kind of be dually trained on both of them. Some hospitals have already reported eliminating contract labor after implementing virtual nursing programs. And this one administrator has been shouting from the rooftops about getting rid of contract labor. And so that was very, very exciting and enticing to him.
Well, that's where I want to jump in.
Jump in,
First,
sir.
overall, I think the entire article is the biggest bunch of BS I have read this month, because what everybody on this who's watching this needs to realize is, in an emergency setting, you basically have 5 minutes to respond appropriately to save somebody's life. 5 minutes, and that's really pushing it. It's really 3, but 5 minutes. If somebody has a blood clot, if you don't get to that person in time, it doesn't. There's an audit there, because this whole, like, how they're selling it is not how it's actually going to be. And the person who was touting that there's a benefit, because you have to ask, what type of facility is this person touting, shouting from the rooftop? Is this some small community hospital where, they have a whole bunch of old people who fall every other day? Or no, seriously, or is this a level 1 trauma center where they're doing organ transplants? Like, I just think that this
I don't
whole
see this working in an emergency type of situation. I don't know. I'm thinking your regular, like, I don't see this in ICU for real. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't see it working anywhere, because especially given the acuity level of America, and virtual nursing is not new. They haven't had virtual nursing in Japan for a while, but Japan has an entirely different healthcare system. They prioritize health. We have a sick care model, not a healthcare model. So we need people as sick and as nearly dead as possible in these beds, so we can so we can milk the system. I have worked on the floor. When you have people, these people are too sick. They have too many comorbidities. You don't have time to be, all this care coordination. It all sounds nice, but it does not work in practicality. You need to lay eyes, and when you need 2 people to do CPR. So if you have 2 people on taking care of one person, what happens if the person next to them decides to fall, and they have an IV, and their IV comes out, and then they're bleeding on top of falling. What will stop all of this will be about 3 good lawsuits, because that's what's going to happen. The any kind of malpractice attorney, and I tell you, they are walking around with a chubby right now because they are so excited. They are so excited. Yes, do it so I can sue the pants out of you. That's what's going
Well,
to happen.
well,
Trust
everybody about to benefit because they are providing this nursing education and training already. They are at the point where they're training the first generation of nurses who might never physically touch a patient. Nursing education will need to evolve, incorporating virtual care competencies, remote patient monitoring skills, and digital communication techniques, which is all part of what is happening in the telemedicine realm. We are already at the point where they have the remote patient monitoring. We already are at the point where they are providing the digital communication. It was, I guess, kind of a matter of time that they morph over into allowing nursing to, from the United States perspective, allowing nurses to jump in and provide this level of care.
but
So they also said it's an exciting challenge for nursing schools and continuing education programs.
but remote patient monitoring right now is for outpatient, and it's for stable people. You cannot have this model in any kind of acute care setting because it's just that acute care.
Correct, but we have a lot of rehab hospitals. We have a lot of long-term care facilities. We have a lot of those step down areas where the patient may not necessarily be acute, but they're, they're stepping down. You have folks that may be in observation where they're not 100% certain, is this acute enough for them to be admitted or not. So I think there are possibilities for it. I don't, to your point, the emergency situations, ICU, that kind of thing. I don't know. That
Every
seems scary.
all from a clinical standpoint, it is not possible because just like you mentioned, like people think that everybody in long term care is just some sweet old men and women who are just old and need somewhere to sleep.
No,
No,
they need
these,
care.
these people
Absolutely
have
not.
dementia. These people have comorbidities. Do you know how hard it is to take care of somebody who thinks that they are 17 and they have a child that's crying at 3 o'clock in the morning? They require constant monitoring, and somebody's sitting somewhere looking at a monitor, calling somebody saying, "Well, Mr. Jones is trying to get out the door again." What? No. And what infuriates me about nursing period is these old hags who sit here and let this stuff happen.
Oh my
These-
God.
I'm telling you, these they sit there like, "Oh, well, this is great." You saggy titted whore, shut up. When I tell you, I have no respect for anybody in nursing administration because they have failed the profession completely. They are a disgrace and a disappointment, and they shouldn't call themselves nurses because they are selling every other nurse down the drain with this kind of foolishness. Because you
Not
think,
hashtag hags. I cannot. Go ahead.
do you think that they're not going to take a nurse's license? They're going to come after them first, not before they get to the hospital. This is stupid.
Well, it's here.
Well,
Stupid or not, it's here. It's here,
it's,
and we're
it's
bringing it to you.
it's not. You heard it here first. It's not going to work. They have tried. They have tried to wrangle in nursing for so long. You will never be able to until you make the country healthy. Once we have a healthy society like they are in Japan, then you could try it. I'm telling you, this is not going to work. I review cases every day. These people are a step away from going to the other side. All of them.
Okay, and then we have it says advice for healthcare leaders implementing virtual nursing. They're letting them know don't wait to dip their toes into this virtual nursing. They said start small, engage your frontline staff early and focus on simple workflows. You don't need to overhaul your entire system overnight. Remember, perfect is the enemy of progress. Start now, learn, and adapt. So I wanted to know, from a health information professional perspective, what this impact of virtual nursing could be. And so I think we all know traditionally HIM has been a refuge for nurses seeking to change from bedside care. So virtual nursing might change that dynamic, potentially reducing the influx of nurses to our field. Now, CDI, that's a whole other conversation because I don't know if that will be the case. But, you have others that are coming in and doing some of the roles that we've been talking about for decades. It says the boom in virtual nursing will create a tsunami of digital health data. Who's going to manage that data? Who's going to analyze that data and secure all of that information? Well, you guessed it. We are health information professionals. So there's kind of a silver lining there where, we need to upskill also in telehealth platforms and understanding digital monitoring and what all of those things look like, what remote monitoring systems are, and virtual care data integration. So we need to be in the forefront of that. So when we talk about expanding our knowledge base to prepare for the virtual world or the AI world or all of that, here's an opportunity to kind of consider what that actually looks like from a health information professional's perspective. Also, there might be some hybrid roles combining nurse knowledge with HIM expertise. Again, that made me think of CDI type of collaborations that still need to be collaborating on. But while the pathway from nursing to HIM might shift, the opportunities in our field are set to explode. So it's also time for us to prepare for the digital health revolution.
At the risk of sounding like that to me also is some crap, because I'm telling you, like, from an HIM standpoint, how is it going to change? I mean, because a nurse who's monitoring remotely, they may write a note, and the note will be in the electronic health record like it is now. So I don't understand how it would change, and I definitely don't see it creating any more opportunities for HIM people, because once you get nurses moving into that, they're going to gatekeep the entire F out of it. Ain't nobody that's not a nurse going to be able to get involved and do nothing other than what you're doing right now. Review those records in Epic or whatever EMR system you use, and review what the coding that the doctor said, and keep it moving. I don't see it creating any more opportunities for people in HIM who are not nurses. I don't.
I see the health. I think the health informatics component or thing has an opportunity to expand. Again, I think that's where those who are traditional in their pursuits of health information careers could possibly think about the expansion and what the impact again of this virtual world will be on our profession and the career that they're currently in. So we talked about, I think, a while back, like when we talked about AI, and somebody had made the comment about certain health information skills or health information duties that can easily be pulled out and transformed over to AI or the virtual world. So I think here's an opportunity, one, to understand, because that was my question. Well, what skills, what tasks? That's what was tasked. What tasks are there? What tasks are they talking about? Number one, I don't think anybody could come up with what those exact tasks were. But figuring that out, doing some research and understanding, well, what are the tasks that they're talking about that they could possibly pull away. But we can't be afraid of the technology that's coming down the pike either. And we have to know that all of this stuff is changing and shifting. And we can't be behind the eight ball in the change. We have to be
Well,
proactive. Well, what are they talking about? Well, what is it? And again, this is an opportunity to understand and learn where they're going with this. So this is like, okay, well, I never knew about the possibility of virtual nursing, or that this is something that several healthcare organizations are looking into. What is that and that's the question, what is that impact on me and my job? What is it that I need to know, or where is it that I need to be making sure that I have the skill set so that I can still be marketable and valuable to my organization if and when they decide to go this route. And to me, that's being proactive about maintaining your career, what it is that you need to do regarding your career.
right. I'm not at all coming from a standpoint of fear, and I don't think there's anything to be proactive about, because there's nothing that's really going to change for people in HIM, because I don't understand.
If the coding positions go away, if the way you code today changes and goes away into some sort of virtual world, you need to know how to do that.
It
You
already is
need
a virtual world.
you need to y'all need to know how to do that. Y'all, we need to
How
know
is it going
how
to
to
change?
pivot, or
But,
where we need to pivot.
but
And I
how
don't think people are talking about that.
but how is it going to, because nobody's given any tangibles, because you mentioned this healthcare system. Who are they? How many patients do they see? What type of care do they provide? It is levels to this. If you
Correct.
were, because if you were talking about, if they said NYU, Cedar Sinai had virtual nursing and this is how it works, I would like to see that versus some tertiary system in Nebraska. I don't care, because it's not the same type of people. It's not the same type of care.
Well, Houston Medical has a virtual medicine department, and there's a clinical director over that department that added comments and information to this particular article. So Houston Methodist is one. One of the University of Florida College of Nursing, their dean and chief administrative officer and associate vice president for nursing education, practice, and research. She's part of the training for virtual nursing and looking at the different care models for the future. She also opined to this
And
article.
right, but Florida has some of the oldest people in the country. That is
Stanford,
it's a whole different model.
the CNO of Stanford Medicine's Children's Health was part of people who added to the conversation, who are on board or touting some of these virtual models, or talking about virtual nursing and the virtual nursing program. So those were three people I saw off the top
Right,
who added to this conversation and their
right,
organizations that they represent.
right. But once again, what type of care? Is it acute care? Is it outpatient? Because all of these people, all these places you mentioned, all hospitals have outpatient components.
Correct.
Is this acute care, or is this outpatient? See, those are the kinds of that's the kind of information you need.
You do need to know whether it's inpatient or outpatient, but these are multi-health systems, which encompasses both. So there's an opportunity that if this is not possible, or if this is not something that they probably may or may not be looking at for their acute care, then they may be looking at it in other areas of their organization. So it's still a viable model, just not in acute care. And if that is the case, how do we make sure we are prepared to be in line for whatever that looks like for a health information professional?
Right, but that, like, this model, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to sell it like it's something new. But I know plenty of nurses that work virtually that do utilization review, that do care coordination. all that's done remotely, but it's done remotely outpatient, which it can be done. You don't have to, have somebody come into the or come into the office to talk about insulin or to talk about how they need to take their medication. That's being done already. So I'm, that's fine, but the way that they're trying to sell it, like it's this new cutting edge thing. I mean, if it's for outpatient, I could see that all day long because outpatient people are stable. I'm the way that they're trying to make it like it's going to revolutionize healthcare, and because when they talk about decreasing staff, are they talking about decreasing inpatient staff or are they talking about decreasing nursing staff overall? Because those are the specifics that I'm going to need to see, because inpatient I cannot see it working. Outpatient, absolutely, because it's already being done now.
I don't know
Exactly.
the whether or not it's, I don't think it's specific to inpatient. I think it's reducing nursing overall. But and there were no specifics, at least in this particular article, on inpatient per se. And so maybe that in and of itself is an opportunity to do some additional research to see, well, is this some, are they looking at models specific to acute care or looking for models specific to emergency care? And if so, what would that look like? How does that look like? Are they training these nurses in these organizations and educational institution for virtual nursing in those settings? That again would be some questions to ask. But I do think it's something that, because everybody in healthcare seems to be looking at the bottom line and the money, and we've always talked about following that dollar, and this has dollar reduction written all over it for these organizations, which is why they seem to, at least the ones specific to the article, are jumping all over it, because it looks like a way for them to lower some costs in their organizations.
Well, it's just that what they're always going to try to control costs. That's just like that's why they have offshoring. But look at the overwhelming success that is. I'm being sarcastic, but
I
it's,
know you are.
like there's certain things in this healthcare model in this country you're never going to get away. You're never going to be able to get away from, because the people are too sick, and it just requires a deeper. They require more monitoring, and they require a whole lot of care that cannot be done looking at a screen.
Well, look,
Because
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, no. I thought you was done. For me, so, and I can only speak for me. This then provides opportunity for me to ask more questions, like, well, what does that look like? Who would do what? And in a quote unquote real life situation, explain to me, and not being a nurse and not knowing nursing workflows, explain to me what this means to traditional nurse workflows. How does that look? Having person at the bed who's looking at something and monitoring, and then person virtually or remote also looking at same patient doing whatever, collaborate. Like, what does that look like? And then again, they mentioned like the security. We are the keepers of the data, so we will be responsible for making sure all of that is secure, locked down there. And I do see opportunities there. If I'm thinking just from a quote unquote coding perspective, to your point, I agree that there may not necessarily be a whole lot of changes on how we do the actual task of coding for this. However, there may be opportunities where if something is stripped off, then these are other, or worst case scenario, coding goes away, which we all know will never happen, because there still needs to be a human validating or providing information for computers to do XYZ. However, you only need so many of those folks to do that. You don't need all of them. So if you have to pivot, you want to stay within this profession and you want to pivot, here's an opportunity to be proactive in understanding what do I need to do to stay current, marketable, and to enhance or upskill myself to be part of that conversation again, if and when it occurs. And so for me, this is where you start, okay, well, let me see, this is what they're talking about. So as I prepare students for the future, it for me, it does a disservice not to actually tell them, hey, did you know this option may be coming down the pike? And even younger folks, well, what are your thoughts? Because they're way more involved in the virtual world than I even am, and getting their opinion, getting them to say, what are your thoughts on that? Because you never know, some of these people, 21 and younger, whatever that generation is, Z, XYQ, I don't know, but whatever the generation is, may have some additional perspective that I don't even know. So to me, it's just having a conversation and saying, okay, hey, this may be viable. What does that look like? And how can we be down? How can we get in and make sure that we're securing our position as health information professionals for whatever is coming down the pipe?
Well, that sounds nice, Clarice.
It is.
But I just want to wait to hear what the legal system has to say about it. I want to hear what some malpractice attorneys have to say about potential liability, because there is this whole situation is ripe for all kinds of litigation. So I'm just going to
But
wait.
isn't everything?
Oh, but this will be even more. It's going to be even more, because at the end of the day, when it comes to nursing aides, there's somebody that has to assume responsibility for that patient. Is it going to be the virtual nurse, or is it going to be the nurse that's on the floor? It's not going to be shared, because then that's going to be a problem. I'm telling, like, I've been a nurse for 30.
And we haven't even added the physician into this equation either. So that's a whole other thing to take into account and consider. Well, what does that look like from the physician's perspective? I mean, there are a lot of questions to continue to ask regarding that. I will say that.
I'm all for outpatient, because outpatient people are stable. For the most part, you just call 911 outpatient anyway. That's all you can do legally. You can't run to somebody's house and start rendering care. So outpatient all day long. But I'm just. But it's already almost 10 after. So
It is. We are at the top of the hour. I'm sure we'll have some more conversation and some more memes and hashtags in the meeting after the meeting. All right. So again, some food for thought, some things to think about as we navigate our healthcare system and our health information profession. Okay, let me show my slide. Okay, so thirsty for fresh perspectives on the healthcare revenue cycle? By becoming one of the tea sippers, you'll join a community of sharp minds who savor the complexity of the healthcare revenue cycle. Why sip alone when you can steep in knowledge? When we can steep in knowledge together. Come, let's spill the tea on industry insights. So here's what you can expect as a valued member of the Tea Sippers. Exclusive healthcare insights, gain access to in-depth articles, webinars, and resources covering the latest healthcare trends, compliance updates, and revenue cycle best practices. Early access. Be the first to receive expert insights and guides, ensuring you stay ahead in the ever-evolving healthcare industry. Personalized support. Enjoy direct access to our team of experts for guidance on medical coding, compliance issues, and revenue cycle management. We're here to answer your questions and support your professional growth. Community connection. Join a private community of healthcare professionals where you can network, share experiences, and collaborate on finding solutions to common challenges. So by supporting us, you're not only advancing your healthcare knowledge and career, but also contributing to the success of Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, a resource that empowers healthcare professionals like you to thrive in their roles, goals, and dreams. So thank you for considering becoming a member of the Tea Sippers. Yes, check out the, oh, well, you can check out the link in the description when I add it later on. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to helping you excel in the world of health information and healthcare revenue cycle. But you can use the patreon.com/Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, if you would like to join us in our meeting after the meeting. So thank you all again for joining the Saturday morning tea or checking out the replay. Was the tea spilled today? I saw teacups and martini glasses. What in the world? Put your teacups or your martini glasses, if that's the kind of tea you sipping on today, in the chat. Okay. If this information was valuable for you, help us share this message with others by sharing the video and subscribing to the channel. Be sure to follow us for more information on all things health information, compliance, revenue cycle, and medical coding. And as you leave, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or like button. Also, check out the Coding Nurse YouTube channel as well. Mr. Jesse, do you have any final thoughts before we close the doors of the church today?
We are over time, but I'm going to talk about LaShantae's post next week.
Okay, so this has been a great session today. See you tea sippers in a little bit. I'll be sending the link over in Patreon, so check out Patreon so you can get the link and you can come and join us. Again, thank you for joining us today. And remember, be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. Until next time, take care. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.